Hey everyone, it's Clint. Welcome again to Sweetcast. And I really wanted to talk about this new crowdfunding campaign that is killing it. And I think at the very least it's a good case study. Just want to remind you though that I've got a book coming out called Downcast. In the link in the description below, you can sign up for my mailing list. And that is people on the mailing list are the ones that get the secret perk. So I've been working hard on that. I think it's worth looking into. So check it out if you're interested. All right, so we got to talk about this artist named Gabriel Picolo. He's got a book out right now on IndieGoGo called Icarus and the Sun, and I wanted to talk about some of the numbers here. Now, it's no surprise if you've been following comics, if you've been following IndieGoGo or crowdfunded comics, especially in the last year, you would know that Ethan Van Sciver broke the record for the most funded project on a comic project rather on a crowdfunding site. So right now Icarus and the Sun is almost at half, it's a little over half of what Cyberfrog earned, roughly speaking. Having said that, there's still 29 days left. This thing is brand new. So I wanted to look at a couple things. Usually when I see a crowdfunding campaign that just explodes right off the bat, my initial impression is to be suspicious about it and look at the backers. I did some of that, and I'm still not exactly sure because I honestly think, as the more I look at this Gabriel here, he's got a good shot. He has nothing to do, as far as I'm aware, with Comicsgate, but his crowdfunding campaign absolutely has a shot of beating Cyberfrog. Now, before anybody panics, this would not be a bad thing. Let's say that this book breaks, let's say it makes $800,000. If it did that, good for Gabriel. I don't know anything about him. Again, just from what I've learned today, that's awesome. Good job. That in no way is bad for Comicsgate. Not at all. This is a good thing. I strongly believe that a high tide will rise all boats, or whatever the saying goes. I'm pretty sure I slaughtered that. But when people are reading comic books, when they're excited about backing comic books, especially on a place like IndieGoGo where Comicsgate is always posting books, if somebody is driving traffic to IndieGoGo, people that are interested in buying comics enough that they're willing to back something like this, that's a good thing. That's good for everybody. So if, let's say that he broke, and I don't really think it's going to get that high, but let's say that he got up to $800,000. What this does is it energizes Comicsgate, and it gets people really pumped to beat that record, right? That's awesome to beat that kind of record. So I wanted to look at some of the specifics here. So he asked for $20,000. He's far surpassed that, and I'm not even joking. I went and checked in on this every so often. I've had this browser window open for a little while. I'm just going to refresh it right now. It's at $300,042 and $59. Let's just refresh it and see where we're at now. And it's up another $1,000. It's been like that every time I've kind of checked it. I would just refresh the page, and lo and behold, is up another $1,000 in the matter of maybe 10 minutes. Like 10 minutes to go up another $1,000. That's the rate at which this is growing is insane. So like all crowdfunding campaigns, I've done quite a bit of research on it. Most crowdfunding campaigns are going to have their biggest bump at the beginning. The first day or two, they're going to do most work. Things do level off. They kind of plateau. They'll slightly get some pledges over time. And then right toward the end of the campaign, people go nuts, and you'll see another spike. So this is the beginning of the campaign spike. It's massive, and there's no reason to believe that the end of the campaign spike won't be roughly the same size as the beginning spike, because that's usually what happens, especially if one is really successful like this. So it's totally feasible that this book could beat Cyberfrog. So some other things I want to look at. If you look at the backers and there's a really low number of backers, then you're going to be really suspicious, because that means very few backers dumped in a ton of money. Now for this is not the case. He's got 9,260 backers at the moment. If we look at the reward tiers, he's got a $15 tier. That's just for a digital. $22 is the cost of his book. It looks like it might be hardback of some kind. At least that's what it appears to be. So for that price, I didn't see a page count here, but it seems like decent value. I will say the story, I think the art it looks nice. I like the art. The story just doesn't really appeal to me at all. And so that's mainly my shock here, is it is a romance. And usually romance in comics, it hasn't historically been something that is just crushing it. So this, and I'll go through some of my reasoning why, but this is really interesting that a romance is just crushing it like this. And I really believe it's because you're getting a lot of supporters from specifically Instagram who aren't into comics generally, but they are into Gabriel Picolo. So let's look at the rest of his rewards before we move on. He's got the book. He's got Overthinker Cactus. I don't even know what these are. Oh, so you get 3 prints. So for an additional $10, you get the book and you get 3 prints. It looks like there are 2 other exclusive ones, and they were really short run. So one was 15, one was 4, and they've both been sold out. Those are, to be fair, those are small numbers. I have been thinking of doing, I am going to do one perk that's going to be limited in the quantity that you can get. And then I'm going to do a limited one that's also part of my private perks. I think limited are nice, but at the same time, for these high-end numbers, if you're not providing more high-end things, you're relegating your backers to only, the max you can back is $32. So, having said that, we know all this is the case. We can clearly see what's going on. He's got a lot of backers. So let's compare this a little bit. I'm going to jump over to Cyberfrog. Now remember, Cyberfrog happened in 2 different campaigns because there was the limited relaunch. So the limited relaunch is here. I just wanted to point out there are a little over 2,000 backers, so 2,048 backers for the relaunch, and then add that to the 8,566 backers. Currently, as I'm recording this video, Cyberfrog has more total backers. Having said that, this could change very quickly, because even if I go back, let's try it one more time. I'm going to refresh this page one more time, and let's see if it went up. It went up a little bit. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe it's slowing down. Who knows? But this is interesting. So the difference here is that if you're looking at Cyberfrog, there's going to be, let me see everything here, there's more perks at higher end. So people have the opportunity to spend more money if they want to. See, even just here, $75, 574 people claimed that one, $100, 543 people. See, these are just much, there is the ability for much more people to pledge a lot more money. Having said that, still far and away, most of the pledges have been comic books. So, the lower pledges, and that's, obviously why you get this impressive number and the impressive number of backers. And I really think backers is, you look at the total dollar amount and that's good, but the number of backers is really, really important, because that's the depth of the market. That's the depth of your audience. If you raise $500,000 off of one backer, what does that mean, right? It means one rich person. So there's definitely a fine line to ride. Now, when you have this big of an audience, it doesn't really matter all that much. For me, it's a bigger deal. So these numbers matter a lot, because you want to be able to get enough to get your book funded. And at the same time, you want to have enough backers who are, collecting all the books, because you got to make print runs work and all of that stuff. All right, so what's Gabriel's secret? Well, I think, honestly, Instagram is the secret. That's what it comes down to. He's got a really impressive Twitter following. He's he's a good artist. My understanding is he's done work for DC. I don't know if he still is working for DC, but he certainly has done it. But Instagram is where people fell in love with this story. See, this is the other key. It's not like you just introduce a story, like you just post something online and people think it looks cool and they buy it. You're going to get some of that for sure. But a lot of the people have wanted it over time, or they've, it's something that they've had so much exposure to. If you follow him on Instagram, he's got all sorts of pictures on it. And so it's something that, people are becoming accustomed to, they're expecting, and therefore they want to see more. This is, DeviantArt can work the same way. But I have talked to some Instagrammers that have been at least moderately successful, and the feeling that I get, my understanding is that Instagram, just the way that it's set up, I don't have an Instagram account, but it's really easy for somebody to build a following on Instagram. And if you have a following on Instagram, you can sell anything. So I do wonder how many of these people are going to convert into regular comic book readers. Again, it doesn't really matter. If they're buying comics, there's going to be a portion of them that for sure would. So as you can see here, he has 2.1 million followers on Instagram. Now, in perspective, the 9,000 people that are backing his IndieGoGo is actually really tiny. And this sort of gives you an idea of the percentages. It takes a massive following, and then you're only going to get a small percentage of that that'll even go look at your crowdfunding campaign. Then you're going to get a smaller percentage of that actually back it, and even smaller percentage of that are going to, spend significant amounts of money there, and so on and so on. So the key is just to have masses. I'm so in awe of people like this. I have no idea how you get, I guess you just consistently post, good art. The art looks good. You keep doing that, and I don't know, things happen, I guess. So look at his Twitter following here. He's from Brazil. He's promoting his IndieGoGo project here. You see the same art. That's great. His Twitter following is big. And if we're comparing it to Ethan Van Sciver, because he's the current leader right now, Gabriel's Twitter following is much bigger than Ethan's. Now, his target audience, on the other hand, might be a little bit different. It might not convert into people that are going to be backing comics on Kickstarter campaigns. Who knows? I will say, though, that YouTube it has something that no other platform does. And that is that you can make a point, you can get to know people a little bit better than you could just by posting something, by posting photos here and there. But I'm really, really interested to see how all of this plays out. I'd love to utilize Instagram myself. The problem is I think it works really good with artists. When it comes to writers, I can't see it working as well because it's a visual thing. So for writers, I actually see YouTube working better because you can speak and people will listen. You can go over there. They're going there to expecting to something a little bit more long form than just viewing at a picture. But I don't know. I'm really interested in following this. I'm going to refresh it just one more time. By the time I post this video, I'm sure the numbers will have changed even more. It does look like it's slowing down a little bit, but I'd love to know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Please, if you don't mind, like, subscribe, share, ring the bell, all that good stuff. And pretty please, if you're interested in my comic book Downcast, I promise you I'm putting so much work and effort into this. I want it to be the best it can be, and so I've been spending a lot of time trying to make sure that everything is just right. So if you're interested in getting that secret perk, please do sign up for the mailing list in the description below, and I will see you next time.